Okay, so on the bench behind me, we have the DB Pro, and this one's been out a while, and we're fully aware of that, but it's new to us, and we're pretty excited about it. So in this video, since we are waiting for parts on that one, we're going to take some more viewer questions, and we're going to try and get to the bottom of things. So this is Viewer Comments 8. Let's do this.
At Hamster Ball. I'm a bit of a self-taught jumper, so always nice to learn some extra theory. For me, a simple straight ramp is the best to learn how any car reacts. Not the most spectacular, perhaps, but it is consistent, and without the skate ramp style curve, the car follows the line of the ramp perfectly when neutral. One thing to keep in mind when jumping in nature is that the car can change the natural ramp by making tracks in it or eroding some bits, so no two launches are guaranteed the same.
So this comment comes from RC Jumping 101, and if you take a look at the build of most of our ramps, now we do have the vector changing ramp, which is a pivot, and that one changes depending on how much input you put to it with the car. But if you look at the rest of ours, they do have a little bit of a curve at the bottom, but they are a straight out ramp for the last 20 inches, which does the same thing. It helps level the car out so you can get a trajectory that's predictable. We do that on purpose, and I agree with you completely on that one. Still, I like the fact that you mentioned outdoors, and what that comes to is any kind of rampage that you get that's in nature, it definitely changes the more you use it, because as you hit it, you take debris off, and it makes a big difference. So it's one of those things to where you'll hit it once, and it'll be awesome, and you just can't recapture that. It's just part of the game. Thanks for the comment.
At Boogie the Cat. I don't want to sound like a Richard, because I like you guys and your channel, but you do come off as Traxxas fanboys. Case in point, you ran it on 2S. You run every other RC on this channel at the maximum S rating. Why didn't you run this on 3S? Maybe because it overheats in 6 to 7 minutes on 3S. That's preferential treatment to the Traxxas brand. Sad that the fastest name in radio control chooses to cut holes in the Lexan and not show it on their website instead of providing fans like every other brand does. I've never seen the sense in Vilnian electronics either. Every Traxxas owner I know changes them for Castle or Hobbywing. I'm not interested in buying a new RC just to change out the most expensive parts. If they offered rollers, I might be interested. But I'm not going to pay more for substandard ESCs and motors.
All right, so this one comes from video, which is the Mini XRT review, and Boogie the Cat is one of our regulars here. He gets in the comments, he helps a lot, and we appreciate all you do, Boogie. But at the same time, we are definitely not Traxxas fanboys here. The way we do it is what you get in the box is what we run, and that's just the situation. Now think about it like this. We get a brand new car out of the box. Cool. It doesn't come with a battery, it doesn't come with a charger, it doesn't come with any of that stuff, so we have to provide it. Okay, if it's a 3S capable car, we'll provide 3S for that car. But if it shows up with a battery in it, that's the one we run, because this is an out-of-the-box review. This isn't an overall review for the car in general. That one comes later. But what you get out of the box, and it doesn't matter the brand, what you get out of the box is what we run. So this came with a 2S battery in it. So that's what we tested it with. That's just how that works. No fanboys here. You know, if I do have a favorite, I'd have to say it's probably Low-C, but that's a personal preference here. I'm not speaking for anyone else here at the channel. That's just for me. And most of the time, I think that's just because I raced them for so many years. Thanks for the comment.
At Timmy 4539. I'm new to all the RC stuff, but I store my batteries in a LiPo bag in a metal ammo can, just to be safe. Being new to all of this, I called Hey Boxing to find out how to store LiPo batteries, and they told me to fully charge the batteries to store them, but everyone tells me never to store them at a full charge. So who's right? Everyone else? Or the company who manufactures the batteries?
This comment comes from RC Batteries 101, and this one's important. Okay, so when you go to store your batteries, and I've done a lot of research on this, I don't know what Hey Boxing is telling you as far as store them at full charge. Never do that. That is bad, period. because storing them at full charge, that is as much amperage as you can get in there, and the battery itself starts to degrade over time, and it happens fairly rapidly. You'll get swelling, you'll get punctured. I mean, the whole thing can turn into a flame because of that. When it starts to deteriorate and it starts to puff up, there's only so much resistance that can handle before it ruptures, and once it ruptures, it's fire. So never store them at full charge. We go between 30 and 40% to charge ours up for storage level, and we always balance charge to make sure all the cells are equal. That gives you the best chance for longevity and safety at the same time. Thanks for the comment.
At Mick1Baz72, I fitted the front drive shafts on the rear of my Mojave. It is much better than the stock dog bones. It is a straightforward changeover as well.
So this comment comes from the Mojave EXB temporary fix, and what we did in that one was we couldn't hang on to the dog bones. Okay, so the outdrive cups on the differential had worn enough to where they became just a little too short and they couldn't hang on to the dog bones. Now the idea of putting the CVDs, or constant velocity drive shafts, from the front into the back, that's interesting, because one thing I absolutely hate is walking around where you played to try and find a part, especially a dog bone, because those things are dark in the first place and they hide in shadow. And I have played with the idea of painting them, which is kind of cool, but it just does ruin the aesthetic of the vehicle in a lot of times. So you could put some tape on there, but getting it nice and even, getting it to stay on there, I would love to be able to do that, to find them, but better yet, let's not let them fall off the car. Putting the CVDs in there sounds like a really good idea, and I love the idea of doing that. Perhaps I'll order some up and give it a shot. Thanks for the idea.
At Nicholas Ad. At 19 minutes when you ask if it's fun, that's where 3S comes in. This truck is perfect on 2S, but in 3S, does it turn into an animal? In a good way, it's still controllable, but just more wild. Some trucks just don't handle more power like this, but man, the Mini XRT is so much fun on 3S. I'm no Traxxas fanboy, but damn, they hit the perfect spot with this truck. Just gear it down and add fans if you got heat issues.
You know, it doesn't matter who builds the RC. If you find one that turns you on, one that handles good, one that looks cool when you run it, and one you can't wait to get back out, you have the right one. That's how that goes. Now, I can't wait to get the 3S in this myself. We don't have one in-house that's going to fit it, so I'm going to have to go get one, and that's part of the issue. But still, at the same time, I can't wait to see what it does. This one does have the venting in the windows, front and rear, that's supposed to combat the heating issue. It'll be interesting to see if that works. I get the feeling I'm just going to have to change things out and get some fans in there, but until I actually test it, we won't know. Thanks for the comment.
At Brandon Cadillac, 7,850. How do you get your wheels and tires so clean after use? If you didn't show the roof, I would have thought it was a new car.
This comment comes from the Mini XRT review video as well. And you know, the thing is getting them clean isn't too bad once you learn how to do it. And we have several videos out there that show you how that's done. Now, we have one called RC Cleanup 101. It's fairly new as far as videos go, but it does cover everything we've covered in the other ones as far as how to get them to look as good as possible. Now, there's something you have to keep in mind on this. If you don't have a waterproof RC, scratch that and do it the hard way. That's just my recommendation for that. If you have one that can't handle water, clean it by hand and all of that stuff to keep the moisture out of it. You definitely don't want to get that down in there. But if you have one that is waterproof, you have a myriad of different ways you can do it. This is just how we do it. Check it out. It's a good video. Remember, that is RC Cleanup 101. Thanks for the comment.
At DuacyCutie6972, this is a great video. Love the honesty. I still built one because I had to have one.
All right, so this comment comes from the Centon 6S review video, and you know, they stopped making those a while ago. They did, and they're really hard to find. And I bought the 3S when I went to the hobby store. They had the 6s there, and this was a long time ago, and I'd always wished I'd grabbed a 6. I just always did. So we got online and we found one. This was probably 3 or 4 videos we did on this car for getting it, building it, and running it. And it was really cool. The thing is you can't get those anymore. So the fact that you were able to find one and get it together, that's awesome. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for the comment.
At Ricky D, 1968. Okay, true story. I always have been safe when charging my LiPo batteries. But this one time I was charging a 4S battery on my kitchen table, and all of a sudden, boom, smoke and flames started going everywhere. So I grabbed my fire extinguisher, and lucky I had this just in case, could finally put out the fire. But it left a very big mess and scared the crap out of me, so now I charge them outside. I do not know what happened. Some kind of malfunction, so be very careful, because it can happen to you because it happened to me. And if I did not have the fire extinguisher, I probably would not have my house right now.
So here's another one from RC Batteries 101, and this is one that I want to stress to everybody because the chance of fire is real and you never know where it's going to come from. It's not always an impact that causes it. It's not always a puncture or an arc when you plug it in. It's not always that stuff. A lot of these will fail during charging and they'll look pretty normal and you may not be paying attention. They'll puff up a little bit and as soon as they rupture, they're on fire. And I don't want to really scare you, but I want you to be aware of the possibility that this can happen. Now, I'm glad this comment came up because it's a real thing. Take this for real and always be prepared for that. You know, charge in a place where there is no burnables right around it. You know, I've got a buddy that charges his in his barbecuer. Okay, so he goes outside, runs a cord out there and plugs them in and charges them right there on his barbecuer. He throws a tray in there. But even if it catches fire, it won't burn his house down. That's just the thing. And secondarily, always think about this. The fumes are toxic. So if you're going to charge in the house and one does rupture, even though you might be able to get it out, you're going to breathe some of those fumes. Those aren't good for you either. So keep that in mind. Thanks for the story.
At Kauai and Tunda, what problems did you have with the EXB shocks?
This comment comes from the Sen Racing Reaper mods video, and what happened was when we first got it, and that's the Reaper, when we first got it, we found out right away that the shock absorbers are weak and they have a plastic cup at the bottom that runs the O-ring and everything so it doesn't leak. That's at the bottom, but the car's designed so the chassis won't contact the ground. So if you come down with any kind of attitude, it's going to compress that down, it breaks the plastic and that goes bad. So they weren't very durable in that respect. So we took them off and we got some EXB shock absorbers from the Arma Creighton and we stuck those on it. Okay, those allow for more travel and we were able to get the body to actually can out when it came down with some weight. It would hit the ground and absorb some of that impact. Now there's a reason we wanted to do that. One, if you put all the pressure on the arms when it comes down, it transfers everything from the tires to the arms to the shocks to the shock tower. And it puts all that energy into that, and that really increases your chance of breakage. Okay, I'm not a fan. So we wanted longer shocks that would allow the chassis to at least contact the ground so it would limit how much it would put against that. Okay, in theory, that's beautiful. That'll work. We got it to where it would can out. Everything looked really good. Problem, when it canned out, in other words, when the chassis hit the ground under full compression, the drive shafts popped out. Okay, so it's not designed for that, and there was no way to overcome it really. So what we did is we got online, we found some modifications that we could do to the shocks to get rid of the plastic bits, and we modded those out and put them back on, and it's been good ever since. So that's the real issue with using the EXB shocks on the Reaper. That's just the thing. Thanks for asking.
At Robert Bonjour 1629, the best tutorials yet that I've seen on any channel. Straightforward, no babbling, solid information, and every step of your instructions let my engineer's heart sing. You show how things are done properly. Thanks, Bob.
This comment popped up on the Vortex mods video and I really appreciate it. I do. You know, we do try to get the information out there so people can work on these themselves. That's the whole idea. Taking them to the local hobby store to have someone pay someone by the hour to fix your RC when the parts aren't all that expensive generally. I mean, they can be, but for the most part, they're usually not very expensive. And you can do it yourself if you just apply yourself to it and get it done. The thing is sometimes it's not all that obvious to people, so we try to spill it out so they can do it for themselves. If they do it once or twice, they no longer need us, which is what we're aiming for. Thanks for the comment.
At Baggis 33, I have been running this truck on 4S for a couple of weeks and broke all the same components. That being said, I already knew that some were going to have to be replaced when I bought the truck new. Took me a long time to actually purchase this truck because of all the bad reviews about durability, but I decided to do it, and even though it sucks having the truck down waiting for parts, the damn thing is an absolute blast to run when it is. Great, informative video. Thanks.
So this comment comes from the MT8 upgrades video, and you know, I love the MT8. I do. It's actually right down there on the shelf right now, and I love that one. It's a short wheelbase stunt truck. I mean, really short, and it's got some big tires and they balloon good. Now the thing about that is it's 6S capable, which means it's got a lot of snap and a lot of torque to it. So when you get it up in the air, the short wheelbase lets it rotate fast. The bigger the tires get, the more inertia it has against the chassis. And again, the faster it rotates. It's really spectacular to watch, but at the same time, it does have a few failings in it. The arms are weak, the hub carriers are weak, the steering setup, the bell cranks and all that, that's weak as well. And I would recommend changing, well, let's be honest, I'd change the radio and the servo to get that thing to really hum. But at the same time, when you get it cranked up and it's flipping backwards, you'll watch the wheels turn. And that's the inertia. They get so big and so much power that they'll rub the body and it makes that zipping sound, which is pretty cool. But once you get it upgraded, this thing shines like a diamond, and I'm really glad we have one. Actually, we pay attention to the Facebook group for that one, and Mitt, he comments, and he's a member. He's one of the guys that runs that channel. Hats off to you, Mitt. You do a great job with that. Thanks for the comment. So that's all the time we have for comments right now, and I hope we were helpful. We really do try to be helpful when it comes to this kind of thing. If we don't have an RC, there's a reason we don't have it. But if we have one and you're having issues with it, ask. Worst case scenario, we may not be able to get to the comments at that time. You may have to wait. We may not even get to it, but that's not intentional ever. We all hold down full-time jobs here, and we don't have time to sit down and go through the comments all the time, so they kind of have to run by themselves at times. But when I get the chance, I do sit down and try and answer the questions. Now, if we don't have that situation, sometimes we have the parts to go ahead and break it down and show you how that would work. Sometimes we don't. We do the best we can. So if you haven't already, don't forget to bash that like button and help our content spread. You know, we love doing this. We say this every week. We love doing this because, you know, hobbies can be addictive, and it always is. I stepped away from this for a little while because it got to a point where it was just the same old. But when they came out with the new high-powered stuff and the more durable things, I couldn't help myself and I got right back into it. But that didn't deplete any of the information that I learned way on. I've been doing this forever, it seems like to me. I've always had RC cars in my life, and I've learned a lot of lessons the hard way, and I love to share that stuff. I'm not afraid to teach you anything. We're not in competition, so I'm not hiding anything. If I know something, I'll answer the question. If I don't know it, then I hope someone in the comments will get down and help you, because that's what the comments here are for. Also, the society around us has changed a little bit, and the prices for everything is going up. That's why we started the membership program. What we get from YouTube stays pretty consistent, and it helps. It does. Does it pay the bills? Absolutely not. It does not pay the bills. And at the same time, in order to get these cars, and some of them have gotten really expensive, we need your help. That's what the membership program is for. If you get in the membership program and even pick the cheapest one in there and help us out, that helps us continue to help others, and that's the whole point. Funding this out of our pocket has been fun, and we've been doing it for over 4 years, but at a certain point we need a little help, and that's what we're asking you for. We love our members, and if you are a member, thank you so much for joining us. It's awesome that you do. If you have any comments you'd like to add, or you have any questions, get down in the comments and help others along the way. For AJ Jam Studios, I'm AJ Sam. Can you bash it?